at Harold Point. I'm Ted Jervis, and this is ZNS.
The Rundown is brought to you by Commonwealth Brewery Limited.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the start of another work week. It's good to have you with us. Welcome to the Rundown. Well, tonight, law enforcement officials are calling a recent operation that uncovered an assortment of weapons, ammunition, and a huge success, pretty much. At a press conference this afternoon, police showed off this significant find in hopes of demonstrating to the public that those who attempt to violate the law will be brought down. Corville Parfum was at the police force's East Street headquarters this afternoon for the press conference. He joins us live in studio tonight with the details. Corville, what can you tell us about this significant bust?
Firearms, ammunition, and marijuana seized in a single operation this past Friday. And while law enforcement officials are holding close to the vest the details of this operation, what they were more than happy to show off is what it yielded. Police Commissioner Shanton Knowles made no bones about showing off what she considers a considerable find for law enforcement. A joint operation with police and customs netting more than 24 illegal firearms, many of them high-powered weapons with the potential to cause considerable damage and harm, ammunition, and thousands of dollars worth, as well as marijuana. The operation started Friday afternoon and ended soon after, the commissioner telling the press late Monday afternoon that at least one person is in custody.
Around 3 p.m., we began the operation, and shortly before 5 p.m., we stopped a vehicle in the western portion of New Providence. Upon searching that vehicle, which contained a number of household appliances, we found what you see here today.
The contents were hidden in household appliances like stoves, refrigerators, microwaves, and others.
In this haul, we have 25 weapons that were recovered. 2 of them are revolvers, 11 of them are pistols, 1 of which is a ghost gun, 12 of them are rifles, 9 of which are ghost guns, and of course 29 magazines.
The ammunition seized totals more than 5,000 rounds.
240 rounds of .40 ammunition, 3,081 rounds of .9 millimeter ammunition, 837 rounds of 7.62 ammunition, 50 rounds of .38 ammunition, and 143 rounds of .300 ammunition.
The commissioner stressing just how potentially lethal these weapons could have been if in the wrong hands.
We don't need these kinds of weapons on our street because they will certainly continue to create fear and can, if we know in the hands of the wrong people, and in places where there are large crowds, can cause plenty havoc.
There was also a substantial seizure of marijuana in that same operation.
44 packages of suspected marijuana with a total weight of 49.6 pounds with a street value of $198,400.
And the commissioner there underscoring that this was indeed a significant seizure. She's sending this message to criminals and would-be criminals who believe that they can get away with this sort of activity to, in 2 words, think again. Clint?
Corville, I have to ask, because I'm watching this story, and I can't help but wonder, I know there was an arrest made. Do we know whether police are revealing how they're finding these things, whether this is a shipping company, whether it was at the port? Do we know how these firearms and illegal drugs are making their way into the country?
As I said at the beginning of the piece, the police are still holding the details of this seizure close to the vest, and that's deliberately. The commissioner says that this matter is under active investigation, and I think she does not want too much information given out to the perpetrators.
All right, Corville Parfum reporting. Thank you. Excellent reporting there tonight, Corville. Thank you. And you know, as we talk about this story, right, this is nothing new. We've been talking about this for years now. The police have said that illegal firearms, drugs, ammunition are coming into, we don't manufacture these things in the Bahamas. They're coming into the country from somewhere, right? And we know that the most plausible cause is persons are bringing them in through private yachts, bringing them into shipping. We would hope they're not coming in through the conventional means, the traditional means, which is coming through the ports, because there's supposed to be scanners there, customs there, all of those, protections in place. But nonetheless, that's how they're making their way in. And remember now, this wasn't found at the port. If you heard correctly in that story, they tracked down this vehicle and they found the person and they uncovered these items that were coming in, and in these items were these illegal weapons and drugs. So it tells us that people are bringing them into the country. So smuggling. Could you imagine with that amount of weapons on the streets? Is this a war that we're having out there? Could you imagine the damage that can be done if those weapons made it to the streets? And so often we keep saying that they're getting into the country by some way, some means. Now, the question always is, how do we protect our borders enough? We are an archipelago of islands surrounded by water, 100,000 square miles of water, right? That's almost the size of the Caribbean. We don't have enough Marine officers to man the port of entry in the Bahamas, or to man what's coming into this country. We see private yachts coming in all the time to Keys. Who's checking them? They're probably going undetected. No one's checking those private yachts that pull up on private islands or pull up to private resorts. They're the lifestyle of the rich and famous, but guess what? Intelligence will tell you, they have found that many of those vessels are also bringing in illegal items. And so the question is, how do we man all of these areas? We don't have enough officers to even do it. How do we man it? Because they're getting in, bringing in these illegal firearms, they're selling them on the streets, and they're wreaking havoc in our community. And I'm glad the police were able to make that significant crack today. Hats off to the Royal Bahamas Police Force for what they have done in that regard. I think at the end of the day, it speaks volumes to what's going on in our country and the fact that we can crack down on this. Well, here's another thing to go along with this crime story. An intense investigation is also underway into that triple shooting in the area of John Terrace off Wolf Road last night that left one person dead and 2 others injured. Now, when officers arrived on the scene, they found a female lying unresponsive on the porch, suffering from gunshot wounds. Emergency medical personnel found no signs of life. Now, according to police, the other 2 persons are listed in stable condition tonight in hospital. Assistant Police Commissioner responsible for crime, Anton Ramming, gave reporters this update earlier this afternoon.
One of those individuals we know succumbed on scene, a 27-year-old female who was injured at that location. Also, there was a 13-year-old male who was also shot and taken to the hospital, shot to the leg. There was also a 19-year-old female that was also shot to the chest and the right side. That individual, both individuals are still detained in hospital, and we are told at this time that they are both in stable condition. Certainly, if there are cameras in that area, we will seek to get that information so that we can see how best that can assist us with the investigation, which we are now carrying on with.
There you go. If we can get guns off the streets, we could stop these shootings from happening. Here we have female victims now. And so we need to be able to remove these guns off the streets. That's why if you know somebody who has a weapon and you know it's illegal and you know they got it off the streets, you ought to report it, right? Trying to keep it, okay, there's a fly in this video. Trying to keep it under hush-hush eventually causes harm to your family, other person's families. So it's important to report what you see so that we can get these illegal firearms off the streets. That's important. Well, newly ratified Free National Movement candidate for Fox Hill, Dr. Nicholas Fox, forced to pick up the pieces after his medical office was ransacked during the early morning hours. The perpetrator reportedly came through a hole cut in the ceiling. We're told iPads used for patient information as well as patient files were flung to the floor. The culprits also tried to get into Dr. Fox's personal computer. Our news team understands they stole about $2,000 in cash. Dr. Fox says his staff made the discovery when they arrived. When he arrived, he was pretty shocked to see the state of his office. The police have since visited the scene, taken statements, and dusted fingerprints.
The mood in here is one of disappointment. I've just been ratified 4 days ago, and this seems to be associated with my ratification. I don't understand why somebody would rob a doctor's office. It's just counterproductive. But I think this is a means of intimidation for me, maybe to throw my hat back and give up. But I'm not intimidated. I'm not afraid. I'm in this to win this. So it's just forward movement from here. And I am strong, and I won't let this deter me.
Okay, so our hearts go out to obviously Dr. Fox, his office. Now, he's, based on his comments, he's asserting or alluding to the fact that he believes this criminal act was as a result of his nomination. And I certainly hope that's not the case. Because I would hate to think that this is where we are at now in the political arena, where we are now committing crimes because of people's political choice or political decisions. And that's absolute nonsense and foolishness, and we don't condone that. I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping that, I don't know, what am I hoping? Why was this place even robbed? It makes no sense. It's sad. It's the same issue we talk about with crime in this country, and I hope they find the person, and I hope that person is punished to the full extent of the law, plus some, because it makes no sense. But if it is politically motivated, it's absolutely stupid. And I hope this is not what the political season is going to be like coming up, that people would allow calm heads to prevail, and that we respect the rights and choices of every individual in this country, and that we would be professional in our dealings with political interactions and disagreements and political views. We cannot allow our nation, which has been defined as a peaceful one when it comes to politics, to now be described as violent and harsh when it comes to politics. We are not that kind of people. And I think we have to bring the temperature down, especially on social media, because those people on social media, that's a crazy realm. That's just crazy. That they are just crazy. I understand now why people come off social media, because it's just a big battlefield for everybody to just go crazy. Because they feel they can hide behind social media and not be who they are. And say what they want to say about people, do what they want to do, put out what they want to put out. That does not benefit our country. And we've got to be mature about what we do and be patriotic first before political. Be patriotic to your country before politics, and I think we will see a better season and a better day. Dr. Fox is among 17 Free National Movement candidates who officially ratified by the party and introduced to the public last week, Thursday. The event has generated a lot of feedback, if I should say so myself, especially on that little demon place called social media, as to why these specific candidates were chosen and what qualifications does the F&M candidate committee need to confirm an election candidate. You know, everybody all of a sudden now is an expert in politics, and everybody want to tell you what you can't do and how you choose who you choose and why you choose who you choose and why you didn't choose who you choose. Well, we're going to get into that tonight. We're going to have those questions answered more tonight. The Free National Movement's Deputy Chairman is here, Travis Robinson, and he's going to talk to us about how they selected those candidates. Maybe he'll tell us why wasn't Travis on that list? Why didn't they ratify Travis, the Deputy Chairman? What's the problem? What's the problem? We'll talk to Travis about that. And then also joining us tonight is the Managing Director of our colleague corporation, Bahamasair. 2025 is a special year for him, both professionally and personally. So we're going to talk to him about that. I love Bahamasair. Boy, it's the safest airline you could fly on anytime, any day. And their on-time performance has been really remarkable these days. So I'm looking forward to talking to Tracy tonight. Stay with us. A great show planned for you. It continues The Rundown, right after the break. Stay close.
What is it that you want to do? And we want to have a good time. We want to be free to do what we want to do.
As we continue to develop the orange economy of the Bahamas and empower our artists and artisans, we as a government intend to show tangible support. We are therefore requesting our Bahamian artists and artisans to submit images of their handmade, authentically made Bahamian products and prices as we move to produce a live digital booklet with Bahamian-made works. With the creation of a live booklet, artisans can always submit new works to be included. It is our intent to use this book as a catalog for the purchase of items by all senior government officials for gifts, display items, and the like. Ministers, permanent secretaries, members of parliament, and ambassadors will be supporting our orange economy by the purchase of items and in sharing this book to the wider global creative community. We are committed to grow and expand the orange economy of the Bahamas.
Welcome back, and a special good night to all of you who are watching online. I see those of you in the Lion's Den, those of you who are also watching on YouTube or whatever platform you get it on, cable, whatever you're watching in the country, around the region, those of you in Turks and Caicos, those of you in the region, and those of you around the world who are tuning in to us tonight. It's always a pleasure to have you watching The Rundown. Well, last week's Free National Move in Canada launch surely had the country buzzing. It's still buzzing, as Bahamians waited with bated breath to see which candidates the opposition had chosen to run in next year's general elections. Now, here tonight to explain the candidate selection process and the Free National Movement's election agenda is the Deputy Chairman and former Member of Parliament for Bain and Grantstown, who is now moved a little over from Bain and Grantstown, crossed the traffic light over into Fort Charlotte. Travis Robinson. Travis, thanks for joining us tonight. Good to have you.
Brother Watson, thank you. Pleasure.
Listen, it created a firestorm, but I think that's good. You know, people always, I don't know why people think if it ain't good news, it's not good. And I would tell people any news is good, right? Because you generate the talk. You want to generate the buzz. You want people to begin thinking about you. So whether all the talk and the discussion are negative or not doesn't matter. The fact is you have people thinking. You have people looking and judging and considering. So, you know, first question is, how does the FNM select its candidates? Boy, y'all under the fire. How do you select the candidates?
Well, firstly, Brother Watson, you as a potential candidate or an aspirant, an individual wanting to run for the Free National Movement, they would submit a letter of interest to the party, that to the chairman, secretary general, and to the leader should they wish to do so. Once that letter has been received, they would be called. As we have implemented this time around, there's an orientation process. So you have to go through an orientation in order to be even considered for any of the seats.
And that orientation obviously talks about, I guess, the party.
Yeah, it talks about the history of the party. It talks about expectation of a candidate, of a member of parliament. It tells you through all of the parliamentary procedures, etc., to ensure that you understand the full gamut of what you are getting yourself into. Once you would have finished the orientation process, then you would begin communicating with the association for whatever constituency that you're interested in, and you would begin to hit the ground, knocking on doors, talking to people, etc. when the formal process starts in terms of the party apparatus begin to call in persons, the interviewing and investigation committee would then at a point in the process call you in for an interview, and they do the background search to make sure that we're putting forward credible individuals. You pass that process, and then you are advanced to the candidate select committee, which is the executive committee. The executive will vote, and then they will take that recommendation, the results of that vote, to the council, who will ultimately vote and ratify you.
Do you normally have a difference between the executive and the council, or normally whatever executive put forward usually gets ratified?
Usually the council is minded to go with the results of the candidates committee. However, there have been instances in the past where the council has decided to go a different way.
Did that happen in this case so far?
So far, no. We are pleased that the council have ratified the Frontline 17 unanimously, and they went in, and as we can see, persons are excited by the process. They're excited about these 17 candidates we've rolled out, and we're off to the races.
So let's talk about some of the candidates, right? Obviously, we saw in the headlines today that South Beach brand said they were taken back, they were shocked. Because that's not who they were working with on the ground. They were working with Senator Jamal Morse, and up comes Darren Henfield. What happened there?
So again, I speak to the process, and let me just say for the record, Senator Morse is a valuable member of the FNM, since he have put out a voice note, reaffirming his commitment to the party. In this process, we'll have many disappointment, and so this is not unexpected.
Everybody can't be selected.
Correct. So the process was smooth and transparent. South Beach made a recommendation to the party of two names, former Senator Morse as well as current Senator Henfield.
Right.
They indicated, obviously, that Morse would have been their first preference. However, they indicated whomever the council would ultimately, yes, so they will support that person. And so that's where we are in the process. The council ultimately selected current Senator Darren Henfield, former cabinet minister, and so now we're off to the races.
Okay. All right, that was a diplomatic answer. Let's talk about even in the media, and I'm going to bring it up because he's a member of the Free National Movement. Dr. Minnis said some of these candidates are ratified. He's never heard about them.
Well, I mean, that's true for members of the public too. They may not have heard about a number of the candidates. And so this is where the introduction now of our full slate of 17 will roll out over the next couple of days, introducing them to individuals that they may not know. And so that's not unusual. We invite Dr. Minnis and any member who you may see a candidate, you may have interest in them. Their biography is available. They're on our party's website. They're out there. You can get the information.
So he still didn't get no nomination, Dr. Minnis?
Well, the party made a very clear decision. The council voted, and we determined that we would go a different route. He's a valuable member of our team.
How valuable that you won't give him a nomination?
He's a nomination is not the only valuable position you could play.
What are some of the other valuable positions?
He's a current member of parliament, and he continues to hold the PLP feet to the fire, like the rest of our members of parliament in there. And so he's a statesman in his own right. We invite him to continue to be that.
Does the FNM believe they're treating him as a statesman?
Wholeheartedly, yes. There's been no area where he's been excluded from in terms of he's a member of the council, the executive, the leadership, etc. He has full rights to all of that. And
he just can't get a nomination.
Well, again, nomination is not up for one person to decide.
I mean,
the council decides that.
But if somebody's a statesman, somebody's a former prime minister, and you're giving somebody all the respect, some people believe they shouldn't have to go the route that other regular members of your party ought to go. They ought to be able to say, well, this is what I want to do, this is where I want to go, and they ought to be given that rights and privilege. I would think that's how you treat an elder statesman and a former prime minister. Well, and he would have the right to choose, what do you want to do next, sir? And we'll oblige you.
And as a former prime minister, former leader of this party, he knows the rules and procedure according to the FNM Constitution. We're not making up these rules as we go. These are Constitution that he abide by when he was leader of the party, and we are continuing the procedures and the manuals of our Constitution. We're not inventing this process.
I'm going to ask you a tough question because I believe you're smart enough that you can answer it. Is the FNM trying to distance itself from the record of Dr. Hubert Minnis? Because I'm thinking if he has successfully led this country as a free national movement, under free national movement government, as a prime minister, and the FNM is proud of what he has done, you would not want to distance yourself from his work or his involvement or him running again. Why not run somebody if you believe that they've done a good job? Then why exclude them from the why a seat that many people describe in this country as a safe seat, Kalani? Why put that at risk by not running the man who's been holding it and winning it for the FNM for so long? Are you trying to distance from him?
It is not a matter of distancing from him. In 2021, the Bahamian people made it abundantly clear that the direction that the country was going and operating in, they have rejected.
Right.
Resoundingly. And I was perhaps one of the casualties of that. And so we are responding to the wishes of the Bahamian people. They have said to the FNM under the leadership of Dr. Minnis at the time, thank you for your service. We had decided to go a different way. The party hears that. We have Michael Pintard. He's the twice duly elected leader of the Free National Movement through 2 different conventions. And we're putting him forward. He's bringing new, fresh, bright, and innovative ideas to the table and the forefront. Our policies, our legislations will be creative. We will respond to the wishes of the Bahamian people who can either elect us or obviously unceremoniously boot us out of power.
Let's talk about some of the other candidates that are perhaps not been announced yet on top. There's still a number of seats, a number of constituencies yet to announce, including Fort Charlotte, where you're hoping to grab that nomination. Now, do you feel secure that you're going to be able to be successful in that nomination? Anybody running against you trying to get that nomination?
I would only say this. I am a member of the Free National Movement. I believe in the process. The process has birthed 17 incredible candidates.
Oh, Lord, here we go with this diplomatic answers.
I am excited. I'm excited. It's a process, and we're all going through the process.
So you're going through the process. You've been canvassing, and you put yourself out there.
We're on the ground. We're canvassing like other young persons, other persons of interest, and we're putting in the work because at the end of the day, we accept that nothing is guaranteed. You could be, as we can see, from the leader straight down to the janitor or whatever position you deem. Everybody goes through the same process, and we respect the process.
The elephant in the room. You crossed the street. You went from, at least you didn't cross the floor. You crossed the street. You went from Bain and Grandstown to Fort Charlotte. Some people look at that and say, well, why is he doing that? What is your answer to that?
Well, in due time, we will roll out, I will speak to that in more full detail, but I'm proud of the work I did in Baintown. I love the people of Baintown. I think they love me as well. And I continue to go back and visit and talk with them on almost every other day. And so in time, I will speak more fully.
Scared of Wade Watson?
You never see it. Never see it. It's a Baintown boy, I ain't never seen it. But on a serious note, I think the Bahamian people are excited about this candidate lineup we've launched out. 17 dynamic individuals. They represent a cross-section of the demographic makeup of the country. Women, young people, and more experienced individuals like former cabinet ministers that we have seen. And we will see more of that. We will see more young people.
We're going to see more of that. Let's talk about that a second because the leader, Michael Pintard, has made it clear that he's charting his course. He's going in a different direction than the previous FNM administration, and that he's looking to give people something new and stuff. So the last thing people expected to see was old, I don't say old, prior cabinet ministers, previous cabinet ministers from Minnis administration. If you're trying to go a different way, you're using the same people. What's the rationale behind that? We see Michael Folks, we see Henfield, we see Marvin Dames. Are there more? And then you said there could be more coming up. Why are we still seeing the same people that you're trying to distance yourself from?
At the same time, I want to clarify and make it very clear. Again, it's not a matter of distancing ourselves. we're pivoting to answer and respond to the message that the Bahamian people sent to us. The former cabinet ministers that you speak to, they've played a valuable role in the last administration. We believe in their ability. Their work speaks for itself, and they bring that level of continuity to our Pintard administration. So it's important for a sense of connectivity and continuity from Menace administration to Pintard F&M administration, so that we don't start over from scratch. You need people who was at the table and understand and understood what took place to be able to build off of that and continue on it rather than starting over.
What do you think the F&M needs to do in order to be able to resonate among the voters in the upcoming election?
I think we have started that work. We're speaking to their issues. We're speaking to the needs of the Bahamian people. The cost of living is a major issue. People can't find food, they can't pay their bills, the middle class is shrinking. These are real issues. Light bill, as we could see this month, has skyrocketed once again. Crime is a real issue. So we're speaking to the real issues that people are experiencing and talking about on the ground, and providing real legislative policies and positions that people would be able to buy into the vision of a Pintard administration.
All right, we're going to go to our break, and when we come back, we'll continue talking about the Pintard administration. What would that look like? And candidates, you're handling yourself. You're holding your own. You're watching The Rundown. We're back after this. Take a look.
For us at the Myers Group of restaurants, we found that we have a pretty large portion of our employment pool that had difficulty getting bank accounts.
The issue we had previously was just getting cash, getting funds on the island. And with only one working ATM, the idea of the sand dollar just in being digital, and everybody has a smartphone nowadays, it actually worked into our favor.
The sand dollar was like a godsend because it allowed us to add it to our payroll system, which means we're able to send their money to the sand dollar wallet.
It's still a bank transfer because you get an account number. So from the employer side of things, all I have to do is send your funds just as usual.
It opens up our pool for us to be able to hire some of the people that we couldn't hire before because they were unable to open bank accounts. This has been a really good solution.
In 2010, a grant helped Bahamas Striping group of companies get started. Today, that seed has grown into a national force, building roads, airports, and brighter futures. Now, we're leading the way through public-private partnerships, what we call 3Ps, where government vision meets private sector innovation. 3Ps empowers local subcontractors, giving them the chance to bid. And with every contract, we're putting money directly into communities, creating jobs, supporting families, and fueling growth. From roads in Eleuthera to community centers in the inner city, we're not just laying asphalt, we're laying foundations for financial opportunity. At Bahamas Striping Group of Companies, we believe in building more than infrastructure. We're building up Bahamians who build the Bahamas. 3Ps, public-private partnerships for people, progress, and prosperity.
Welcome back to The Rundown. My guest tonight is Deputy Chairman of the Free National Movement, Travis Robinson, talking about those candidates, which is back to come. Is the F&M surprised by the public feedback on the first slate of candidates? All of the talk and all of the back and forth. Are you surprised by that? Did that catch you by surprise?
Well, I mean, not surprised. We are excited by it because we have a good mix of feedback. People are excited, people are optimistic, and they see an exciting group, a cadre of individuals who they believe can actually run and manage this country certainly better than what's happening now.
These candidates, was this a principle of the F&M that the persons they're choosing for candidates either live in the constituency or familiar with that constituency? Is that an intentional thing?
Well, most of it happened to sink into itself, but we were more focused on ensuring that the people had the track record necessary of community service. They have the ability to lead in the appointed positions that they may obtain, and that their characters are above reproach, that people would not have to question who these gangsters are, so to speak, that the FNM would put forward if we did not do our due diligence. So it was a cross-section of things to ensure that our candidates meet the standard and the new standard that Michael Pintard has ensured that all of his candidates will meet going forward.
Opposition parties are always cognizant of the landscape of the area, who they're running against, who are the concerns in the race, all of that, because obviously the idea is to be successful. In previous years, in previous elections, it's been worrying about the DNA and all the other things. That's not a factor this election, but there is a factor, Coalition of Independents. What is the FNM's view of the Coalition of Independents? You see them as a credible threat to you obtaining governance. They, in past elections, especially the last election, they were spoilers for the FNM and could have perhaps been the difference why some seats were not won by the FNM because of coalition being involved in there. They seem to have grown their membership since then. Is that a concern?
I would not call it a concern. I think what we see it as is good for democracy. People have an opportunity to decide whether the two major political parties are providing for them the kind of representation they want, or they have a third party. We in the FNM, we're confident that our platform and our manifesto, when it roll out, people will be able to buy into a vision that will take the Bahamas to what we call the 21st century Bahamas. So we see them, we're not locked in on them, but we have them in the corner of our eye as we move forward. But we're focused more so on the policy positions, on the issues that Bahamians are facing, and providing real recommendations and solutions.
They're pretty much doing the same thing. We've spoken to them, and they seem to have a similar message as the FNM. That I'm thinking could impact your ability at the polls, because they're, like what you're saying, are hoping to say they can provide a better governance. They want to see cost of living. They want to make sure Bahamians are empowered. A lot of what the FNM has been talking about, so is the Coalition of Independents. How do you separate yourself and get that voter who's starting to be thinking, okay, FNM or coalition if I don't want the PLP? How do you convince them that you're the party over the coalition?
The equation is crystal clear. The FNM have a track record that we can run on.
Which is
the COI does not. We have built schools, we have built roads, we've been in government before, we've built clinics, airports, and the likes. We have a track record of getting the job done in the Free National Movement. There's a hopeful, aspirational talk when it comes to the COI. And again, respectfully, there's a place for them in a democracy such as the Bahamas. We do not have any interest in making them the focal point of our agenda, because that is the Bahamian people. But we are comfortable with our strategy, with our approach. We're putting the necessary steps in place, and the behind-the-scene work that we're doing with meeting in focus groups and talking to people all across the political divide, all across the country, from the religious community, meeting with them, special interest groups, meeting with them, and the list goes on. So we're comfortable and confident in what we are proposing, and any other opposition, we see them in a race like any other, and our goal is to cross the finish line first.
What will the next slate of candidates look like? Any idea when that will be named, or those persons will be named?
No specific time frame at this point. I invite the public to take a look at the 17 dynamic frontline soldiers we have now. That's enough for now that we can dissect and dive into and look at their background.
I don't know for a little while.
and in due course, we will roll out the next slate, but they will reflect the demographic makeup of the Bahamas. Young people are going to be able to look and see. They're going to see young people who they can relate to. The women are going to see an impressive group of women whose track record speaks for itself. And people in the business and the financial arena, no matter where you're from, your industry, you're going to see someone who can speak to the issues concerning whatever industry or field that you find yourself in.
As a former parliamentarian, what advice do you give to those political newcomers or potential candidates? What do you say to them tonight?
I would say to them, political newcomers, I would tell them that the people have the final say. In that you could have all of the aspirations, you are part of an organization, but remember that the people have the final say. And so everything that you do, you got to wake up every day knowing that you're focusing on the agenda of the people of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. You focus on them, you'll have a pretty good stint in politics.
All right, Travis Robinson, we're out of time. We got to have you back. Thank you for coming on tonight and
thank you,
helping us with the process.
It's a
pleasure. Stay with us when we come back. The manager, you're ready to fly? Let's fly. You know, those nice ATR, you know, flights and those jets, you know. Let's talk about Bahamasair. That's our national flag carrier. Tomorrow, you know, we're dressing up in national pride colors. Let's talk about Bahamasair. You know, I live by the airport and that jet flies over. I say, yeah, look at that beauty. You're a pilot, aren't you, Travis? You're a pilot. Why you fly Bahamasair?
I'm serving the Bahamian.
We're talking to Tracy Cooper, the Managing Director, next. Stay with us.
Hey, ladies. Where's the Dave? Oh, okay, thanks. Bets.
Greg, what's up?
Friday, man, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
You up?
He's meditating. You gotta give him at least an hour.
All right, well, I can wait. I ain't got nothing to do. I say now on to independence.
The internet isn't just for surfing. There's a sea of shoppers buying online, and you can connect with them on Tingsy. Tingsy is the SPDC's online storefront built for Bahamians. Take your business to the next level by selling to customers online, both at home and around the world. People want Bahamian things, and if you got things to sell, sell on Tingsy. Find out how you can connect with a sea of buyers by visiting tingsybahamas.com.
I have been coming to this island since I was 12 years old. It didn't take me long to realize the rich history it has here. When I bought this island in 2018, I fulfilled a lifelong dream. The goal is not only to preserve the memories I made over those years, but to make new ones and to give others the opportunity to do the same. As we go through this process, it has become clear to me, we aren't just rebuilding an island, we're reviving a legend.
Welcome back. Finally tonight, Tracy Cooper is a distinguished aviation executive and engineer whose career spans, get this, over 4 decades in the airline industry, including an exemplary 40-year tenure with Bahamasair, the national flag carrier of the Bahamas, rising through the ranks from an aircraft maintenance technician to becoming the company's managing director in 2016. Mr. Cooper has played a pivotal role in shaping the operational, technological, and strategic direction of the airline. He's here tonight to reminisce pretty much on his career and a personal milestone. So I'll be welcome to the rundown. Sir, good to have you here.
Good to have you.
Congratulations.
Thank you much, Brother Watson.
9 years as head of any institution in the government, I think, is remarkable.
Right.
Because just my 2 years here at leading the Broadcasting Corporation, it's challenging. And while it's rewarding, it's challenging. So to be able to do it 9 years is simply amazing. We've watched the legacy that you've built take shape, because we've seen that airline transform to struggling and trying to find itself to one that seems to be able to not only just win awards regionally and globally, but be able to maintain a consistent presence of quality service.
No.
How do you feel as you reflect on the work that you've created and your accomplishments?
Well, as you know, this all comes together as a team. And if I'm trying to kind of say this is a Tracy Cooper moment, I'd kind of be lying here.
Right.
We have a phenomenal team at Bahamasair, an executive management team that understands the importance of the airline and the strategic emphasis it is to the not just for the government, but to the growth of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. So I am really elated to have been at the helm for these past 9 years. I can say that in the year 2000, I was made the Director of Maintenance. So I've been a part of the executive management team for the past 25 years.
Wow.
So that has helped me a lot in forming what we're doing today as the leadership of the airline.
What do you hope your legacy will be at Bahamasair?
I understand the importance of the airline. And at the end of the day, we want something where we can say that the airline contributed to the economic growth of the whole Bahamas. You know, we're an archipelago, and unfortunately to get the outer islands to grow at the same pace as New Providence, you need to have a good transportation system.
Right.
And we want to be seen as being a part of making sure that would have happened over the years, but also even improving on that in the past several years.
As government organizations, corporations, we understand the need that sometimes the service we have to provide ain't gonna be profitable. I mean, we do all the time here in broadcasting, and some coverage you have to provide. You don't make the money off it, but you can do it because it's a part of what you do.
Correct.
How do you ensure that the airline is able to meet the need of an archipelago, but yet still, at the end of the day, operate as a business as it should?
Yeah, so you have to understand that you have to, where you make the plenties on one side, it has to augment and support the lean on the other side. When you talk about the Michaels and the extreme outer bands, where you have population standards that may only be 250, maybe 500, but you still got to get there. So do you kind of run the airline down in servicing that? And the answer is no. What you do is you have a good population center in New Providence, you have a good population center in Abacosa and in Freeport, and also going over to the U.S. And what we try to do is we try to maximize on that so that we can augment what is happening on the other islands.
When we look at the fact that Bahamasair is positioning itself to do more international routes, talk a little bit about that, because the airline has a vision to be able to go further. Now we see with Pull Out of Silver, there may be a need to fill some of those routes. Is that kind of forcing Bahamasair now to do more international routes than before?
The one thing that you have to understand with Bahamas is that we're not a big airline. We're a regional airline. At this particular time, we have 10 airplanes. You'd believe we got a hell of a lot more.
It certainly sounds like it, yeah.
Because of what we do. And so at the end of the day, we try to work within the means of which we have, but still to maximize what it is as far as the impact and the effect on the airline. I mean, on the Bahamas. So yeah, we look to see what we can do. And so we're very strategic in selecting what it is that we do, because at the end of the day, even though you want to expand and do a lot more, you got to worry about the reliability. You want to make sure that when you say, I'm going to promise to take you from point A to point B at a particular time, and you know that commodity is, $10 kind of thing. It's a $200, $300 kind of thing, that we are meeting the promise. And the only way to do that is not to overextend ourselves. So yes, we are looking to, especially with the silver thing that just happened recently, we're looking to see how we could help out in collaboration with the Ministry of Tourism to see how we could capture some of those routes. But we're going to do it in a way where it is not going to kind of overstretch the airline to where we cannot produce the quality of service that is demanded. 40
years in the industry is a long time. Are there any stand-up moments to you, highlight moments as you look at your career?
Yeah, the one thing I like to say is that I joined Bahamasair 40 years ago, but Bahamasair started 52 years ago in 1973 on the 17th. By the way, it started on the 17th of June. I started Bahamasair on the 18th of June, some 12 years later. And of course, my 60th birthday is on the 22nd of June. There's this June thing.
Just a serious in June.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I like to say that when I joined Bahamasair, I actually joined and met the pioneers that started Bahamasair. I worked with them because it was only 12 years in. And that kind of solidified me down to understand that we're building on the shoulders of some dedicated people who made this thing worked over the years. And so everything that we put into it today, again, it isn't just from us and how we look at it. We look at our forebears, some of them that are still around today. Our retirement grouping is pretty robust, and they could tell you the stories themselves. But you understood what the government was trying to do back in 1973 and what the airline has grown. I mean, we've done a lot of firsts. We started Atlanta, we started the Phillies, those were all Bahamasair. Right. And that we grew those for the tourism product for the Bahamas and then turned those over to others. Again, we're not a 100 airplane company. So, and we're continuing to do that today, which is to look strategically as to what the government wants to. So we work not just within ourselves, but strategically, especially with the Ministry of Tourism, to see how we could have the greatest impact for the economy of the Bahamas.
The big question is always, what's next for you?
For me, okay, so when I say that I've been 40 years at the airline, it means that, you know, there's some end view in sight, right? For me right now, it is all about mentoring and building the next generation that is in Bahamasair that is even going to take over from me. Right. Right? Bahamasair has been good to me, and therefore I'm not one who believes that I got to stay around forever and ever, amen. Right? It is time for me now to take everything, and you know, there's something that Dr. Miles Monroe would have said. Don't go to grave full. Empty yourself, right? And so that's what I'm trying to do. How do I get into making sure that the airline is on sure footing, not just for this 40 years, but even 40 years beyond me?
That's an excellent thing to be doing. I think so many leaders don't mentor, and when they pass on, when they go on or move on, is a big gap, a gaping hole there because there was no succession planning. Right. And so I'm really admiring the fact that that's what you're spending your time doing now, because the reality is no one is where it's going to stay forever where they are, right? And you need to be prepared to move on. But I think you've done a great job in leading it through consecutive administrations, which we all understand is never easy. Everybody comes with a different vision, a different focus, a different ask. But hats off to you. And the airline is one that we're definitely very proud of. And congratulations to a stellar career.
Thank you much.
We look forward to the next. It's a pleasure.
Definitely.
Thank you, sir. That does it for the rundown. Be sure to stay locked on to the ZNS Network for the Bahamas Tonight at 11. It's a final newscast in the country with the latest news and information with Royston Jones. He's in the building getting ready for the 11 o'clock news. For all of us here at ZNS, I'm Clint Watson. Thanks for joining us. Good night, everyone.
After 30 years of banking, I've decided to take a leap of faith. I moved from banking into an untapped industry, which is manufacturing in the Bahamas. And now we are standing on 3 acres of land on which we're going to be putting the Bahamas' first end-to-end plastic recycling company, Eden Recycling and Manufacturing Company Limited. Eden has 2 arms, recycling and manufacturing.
This is groundbreaking for us. It's never been done before. It really makes a difference, not only in the Bahamas, but even around the world. This is not just a project that we're doing so that we can make a couple of dollars. We want to make sure that it benefits those who come after us. In future generations, we hope that this is a small vision, that they will take it and they'll expand on it. We can have the formula for what it means to do end-to-end recycling in the Bahamas, in the region, and even if we have to export these ideas and thoughts and concepts even into the U.S.
At Fort Montague, I'm Opal Roach. This is ZNS.
Ladies Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to Ed Social Mania. This is an exciting educational game show based upon the Ministry of Education's primary social studies curriculum, in which we place opposing school teams to test their social studies knowledge. I'm your host, Adama Williams, and I'm going to lead you through this creative educational experience. Today, we have the students of Woodcock Primary School.
My name is Tony Marie Rigby, and I am in the 5th grade. Hello, my name is Ashley Johnson, and I am in the 6th grade.
My name is Emanuela Bladden, and I am in the 5th grade.
And to my left,